Welcome Purple Crayon Absolute Beginner Watercolor class. It's time for a little review. Since we can't meet this week, I will call this lesson 1A. I wanted to touch a couple things that we had talked about and I needed to clarify them, and a couple emails had asked me questions. One is what to do with your brushes. Do you stick them in the water when you're done? Yes, you can. You do want to rinse them off. So at the bottom of the cup, I am taking my brush and kind of giving it a little twist like this, to splay the hairs and get the paint out of them. Then I brush it off on the side and lay it on my sponge. Now, a big reason for laying it on the sponge is, as they're making a brush, they shape the hairs that they have collected, they wrap them with a string, and then they put that bunch into the handle. Inside the handle, to hold it there, is a glue, and the glue, if you leave it in the water, is eventually going to dissolve and your hairs will start falling out of the brush. In a flat brush like this, it's the same thing. They put the hairs together, wrap it with a string, stick it in this area called the ferrule. That metal part's called the ferrule. And in this case, they add the glue in there, but they also crimp the metal. So they crimp it, and that gives it this shape, that nice flat shape. Again, however, the glue is in there, and if you leave it sitting in the water, eventually that glue will dissolve and the hairs will start falling out. Watercolor brushes are great. If you take good care of them, they will last for years. I actually have a brush that I've had since college, probably, well, it's a while ago, decades. And this one's probably 30 years old itself. So if you take good care of it, it will last you a long time. That's why I say you don't need a lot of brushes in watercolor. Take good care of it. The other aspect I wanted to review was some things about color. Now you can see here I've got some colors laid out because I had already done a little practice on this and found out that my video had been shot vertically and not horizontally, so I had to start over. So reviewing our basic colors, we have our primaries. We have the yellow, red, and blue, and they are divided equally on the color wheel in thirds. By mixing a yellow and a red, you get orange. That's a secondary color. By mixing the yellow and the blue, you get a nice green, and mixing the blue and the red, you get a purple or violet. Those are your secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. Then you get what we call the tertiary colors, so secondary and then tertiary. And that's just a yellow-green or a blue-green. Now, in your color palettes, and I gave you lists that were a little bit different each one, that doesn't matter. The primary important thing is that you have your primaries, your yellow, red, and blue, and that you have a warm and a cool of each of those. So you have your warm yellow, cool yellow, warm red, a warm blue, and a cool blue. If you're looking at these colors, you can see here's your yellows. Let me move this over further. We are now in the analogous colors. Analogous is the family of colors. All right, our primary here is yellow. As we head over toward the reds in the warm direction, that's a lemon yellow, we have the cadmium yellow. If we move this whole aspect over to the reds, we will have your cadmium red, and then as we head toward the blue, that's a warm red, we head towards a blue, which will make it cool, you have your red violet. Some colors are rather interesting. Some colors, for instance, let's start with your blue. This is like a cobalt blue. If you head towards the purples, you're going to be a cooler blue, like your ultramarine blue. But if you head toward the green and yellows, you get a blue-green or a teal. In one aspect, if you are considering a blue, now let's start with the teal. If you have the teal, this can be, in comparison to the blue, it's going to be a warm blue. But in comparison to a green, it's going to be a cool green because it's heading in that direction on the color wheel. So a teal green will be from a blue. Here's your blue, a warm blue. Here's a green, yellow, green. It will be a cool green because it's heading toward the blues. I want to try this with your violets as well. Say you're starting with one of your violets, like your Alizarin Crimson. Okay, Alizarin Crimson is kind of in this area. In comparison to a red, you can see it's heading toward the blues, so it's going to be a cool red. But in comparison to your blues, it's heading towards the red, so it's going to be a warm red. So the same color can have two personalities. It can be a cool red or a warm blue. So there's flexibility there. There is no definite right or wrong to these things. There's a general basic aspect, but the color choices that you have in your palette aren't that important, the names of them, but there are some general properties. Someone sent me a palette color that they had gotten, and it's tending more toward a gouache. A gouache paint is different from watercolor. There is more pigment, almost like a chalk in it. I'll simplify it and just say it's like a chalk in there that's going to give it more of an opaque quality. We also talk somewhat about transparent and opaque paints. And if you just paint them out, like, let's see, can I do a good one here? Okay, if we take a yellow, let's take this lemon yellow, and I'm going to brush it right here. Let me do that again with a line through it. Can you see the line? If I brush that over, you can see the line right through that. However, because that's transparent, if I go to my yellow ochre, which is more of an opaque color because it just has more of that chalkiness into it, it's going, you can see the brush through it, but not quite, the line through it, but it's not quite as clear. See how that has a chalkier, heavier color than this nice lemon yellow. Now, you can see here, I'm going to tilt this just slightly. We're mixing some colors. So you want to get an idea of mixing colors. Starting with the lemon yellow. I'm going to start with a lemon yellow. I'm going to put a good amount up here on my mixing area. I'm sorry, let me double check this. My tripod has been falling down a little bit. Oh, good. Hello. I'm going to move this up into here. See how that works. All right, sorry about that. All right, here's my lemon yellow. I'm going to put a good amount up there. And then I'm going to start with a lemon yellow stroke. Nice lemon yellow. Just a moment. Alexa, play next. Sorry, I was trying to get some nice bird music in the background and kind of went crazy with that one. Now I'm going to add the reds in. So I'm going to take my, again, Alexa, play next. My cadmium red, and just a dot of it, because cadmium is so much stronger. The cadmium red is a stronger color than your lemon yellow. So I'm just going to mix a little tiny bit of that in there. So let's say this is about a 1-to-1 ratio, and you can see already it's kind of an orange color. Then I can pick up more of that cadmium red, add that in, so now we're more of a 2-to-1 ratio. Add a little touch more so you can see the difference. And then, of course, the cadmium red. So as I'm mixing those there, now I can make myself a note. This is my lemon yellow. This is my 1-to-1. This is my 2-to-1. And this is my red. So now I have gotten some nice notes on my colors that I have mixed. And it's really quite easy to do. You can see the same that I've done here. I started here with the lemon yellow, and then over here was my cobalt blue. That's this blue here. So I started with a lemon yellow, I added a touch of the cobalt blue, I added another little bit of cobalt blue. So this is basically lemon yellow, 2-to-1 lemon yellow and cobalt, half and half lemon and cobalt, 2 parts cobalt to 1 part lemon yellow, 3 parts, and then your cobalt blue. Did I say cobalt yellow? Lemon yellow. So you can see playing around. And this is the best way to go about doing it. Let's try mixing a nice violet. Talking about your transparent and your opaque colors. Now, your cadmium red is basically an opaque color. Most pigments like. So I'm going to write that, push that down. There's my cadmium red. And then I'm going to pick up my ultramarine blue here. Is that showing on? Yes, okay. So the ultramarine blue and the cadmium red are going to create a violet or a purple that's, look at that, kind of muddy looking. The reason that is ultramarine blue is basically a transparent color, where the cadmium red is an opaque color. So how am I going to get a really good purple? We will take a transparent blue, like the ultramarine, cleaning off my brush, and then I'm going to pick up some of this Alizarin Crimson. This is, remember, kind of our cool red, but it also tends to be on the transparent side. So as I mix those two together, look at that violet. That is very different. It's a lot more purple. Let me put the colors here, ultramarine blue and my alizarin crimson. So then you make notes on it, because you can see ultramarine blue, cad red, and this is that purple that's made from it. This is my ultramarine blue, my alizarin crimson, and this is my purple from that. So sometimes, like if you're doing a landscape or fog or something, you want this nice kind of grayed purple. But if you want a brilliant purple and you need to mix it, you want to use 2 transparent colors to get that. I hope that makes a little more sense. Over here, now I did a nice gray. I'm going to take some of this ultramarine blue. Whoops, it's already got a color there. Ultramarine blue here. This one was the cobalt blue. Then I'm going to pick up some, I'm going to go with the burnt sienna. Okay? A nice burnt sienna. That's that russet brown. Just a beautiful color right here. This, if you're looking for a really nice rock gray, this is about half and half here. Look at that. It's just a nice color. And you can do some different things. You can add more of, whoops, the burnt umber with that blue. Got a little too much burnt umber there. Or you can add more blue. So you can see very quickly, sorry, I kind of messed that one up. But you can see rather quickly that we have a burnt sienna and your ultramarine blue, and then you have these 2 nice, a bluish gray, and then you have a warm gray. All right, so go ahead and play with this. Make a whole chart, keep notes. It's going to help you learn how to mix colors. Try mixing a green and then comparing it to a green you already have, or start with the green you already have and try to mix other colors, just the blue and yellow, to get that green without actually touching any green. I hope this helps clarify a couple of things. Remember, do email me some paintings. If you have them, we can talk about them next week. And I probably won't get to all of them, but we'll pull out some. And send me any questions you might have. And I will be looking forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. All right, have a great week and paint away. Thank you.